This corn is getting very tall. Some of it's, I'd say that's at least 7 feet or more, but it's supposed to get 10 to 12, so it's still got some room to go. We're not getting any pollen yet. We're finally starting to get some cucumbers, at least with this one. There's a nice size one down in there. And the zucchini is growing extremely well. And we're starting to finally get some growing. I've only eaten one so far, so I can't wait to be sick of zucchini. The corn is starting to get the pollen on it, which is great. As we can see here. And what's amazing is that if you count the silks, there's one there, one here, a couple growing on this side. There's probably 4 cobs of corn on that stalk, which is awesome. More zucchini growing. This butternut squash. Actually, no. This one, the first one is a pumpkin, and I'm not sure if we're getting any pumpkins in here yet. I can't recall. Although we are finally starting to get some little butternut squashes growing. Squash. Like, here's a nice one right here on the end. That's a female right there. The squashes are all imperfect flowers. They get male and female flowers separately. So you need to have a male flower and a female flower. And you need your bees, or you need to artificially pollinate. Here's another one. Artificially pollinate in order to get fruit. The amaranth is getting quite a bit taller. It's starting to get its little red flowers in there. They'll look very nice soon. And as you can see, the peppers are doing much, much better. They're really coming back now. This side is our marigolds, lots of lettuce. These eggplants are starting to come up. A couple of late eggplants. Lots and lots of lettuce. So you kind of have to plan your lettuce accordingly. I planted 3 sections of lettuce alternately, and it was still way too much. So another eggplant. And this is hundreds and thousands tomato. It looks like there's a bit of a broken piece there. I'm not sure how that got broken. But this will produce, it was planted a little bit late, but it will produce a lot. Hundreds of tomatoes in there. Again, the barrage. If you haven't watched the videos before, the barrage here, which just flower constantly throughout the season. They've been growing constantly from the time we planted them. And they bring lots and lots of beneficial insects. There's constantly, throughout the day, there's constantly bees and bugs all over these. And it brings lots of beneficial insects into the garden. The carrots and onions here are really growing very well. I'll start thinning them soon. I've been waiting on the 3rd and 4th aisle, which were sowing a lot thicker. I've been waiting for them to get just a bit bigger so I can put the tiny roots into my salad. And In the next couple days, I'm going to plant my beets into this blank bed, what's left here. I'm going to start fitting some beets wherever I can fit them. If you have paid $1 per beet at the store as I have, you'll appreciate being able to grow your own. The onions down here, I'm going to show you these onions. They are really starting to look good. Beautiful purple onions there. Growing really well. I can't wait to start picking some of those. And this may be a better vantage point to look at the leeks. They were planted deeply. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, these leeks were planted probably 6 to 8 inches in a little crevice, so they've got a really nice long white root on them, and now the leaves were just leaving to grow. This pineapple sage here was a broken branch from a piece of that I bought to plant elsewhere in the garden. If you put it in the water, they grow roots really, really easy, so you can propagate them very easily. Spanish onions growing through here. The biggest one's over here on the end. It's got a lot of growing to do yet. And Thai basil is coming up finally. I'm looking forward to having some Asian food or Asian soup that I can break that into. This was my last planting of lettuce, which I haven't even touched yet because there's so much other lettuce. So it's a good idea to plant your lettuce in sections every few weeks so that you constantly have a supply, but you don't need to plant quite this much unless you have a family of about 15 maybe. These onions are growing well. There's purple onions along here as well. Lots of purple onions this year. And the green onions, all of these green onions on the inside row here, these all grew from seed, and they're really starting to get to a nice size that looks awesome. I'm actually going to pick some tonight for topping up our dinner, some nachos with cheese and chicken, so those are going to go nicely on that. The San Marzano are all growing well. And lots of tomatoes on these. They're not that tall yet. They're only about 3 feet tall or so. But they all have lots of tomatoes on those, so that's great. More cucumbers. This is actually an heirloom Armenian. Well, it's a melon actually, but it tastes like cucumber. You eat it as a cucumber, but it really is a melon. I'm hoping I get some from this one. I'd really like to try it. But right now there's a few flowers in there, but no fruit yet. So I'm looking forward to that. Lots and lots of rosemary. Lots of lettuce. This romaine right here is so incredibly beautiful. I'm going to plant a whole row next year of just romaine lettuce to grow. It looks so amazing, and it has a thicker leaf. It's hardier than some of the other lettuces, so it'll last longer in the fridge if I have leftovers. The Brussels sprouts, I don't have a lot of optimism for the Brussels sprouts. I may just pull them out and put some peas here, but I haven't decided yet. These cucumbers are doing well as well. Lots of flowers in there. Lots of male flowers, but there's only a few females. So hopefully they'll grow well. The eggplants are coming along nicely. We're getting some fruit in there, as you can see. Right here. Lovely little fruit growing right there. Oops, doesn't want to focus. So they're all starting to really come along. They're all starting to get some little fruits, which is great. And they're all very healthy. Now you may recall from earlier in the season, all the purple cabbage got eaten by the earwigs, which we've pulled out, and I'm probably going to put beets here. But we have one left over that wants to grow, and it appears to be getting ahead there, so I've left it alone. You can see there's a lot of damage on these leaves on the outside that were initially damaged when it was young, but it does seem to want to get ahead there, so I'm going to leave it alone. All the onions I planted along the outside edge here are getting really big. More cucumber. This is a cherry tomato right here. It's finally growing. It got a bit of a late start, this one, but hopefully we'll get a few. It's a brown cherry tomato, and this was cilantro, I guess. And very, very soon we're going to have a lot of coriander here, which I will save for planting and eating over the winter and for next spring. And sporadically throughout the garden there's onions and flowers and herbs. It's very healthy to interplant your garden, not in rows but in sections that benefit each other. This squash is growing so well. I am just amazed at how well it's growing. Like, that's a really large area, and there's so many in here. Actually, there's quite a few. There's probably, I'm not even sure how many died because they weren't pollinated, and yet we still have so many in here. Let me just show you this big one. There's a huge one down in there growing, and some smaller ones as well, but that one is probably the biggest one. And they are all growing really, really well. The peppers are all growing very well. They're right full of peppers. The ones in the box were a little bit behind, but they're doing extremely well now. More basil, cucumbers, tomatoes. These are gold medal. They are producing, all the tomatoes are producing now. It's just a matter of waiting for them to ripen. I don't think I've shown you these yet. These are called a Japanese black trifle. And you may be able to see it there. They are basically the shape of a pear, and they are apparently very tasty. So I'm looking forward to eating those. Lots of tomatoes over there. Lots of herbs are here. And that's basically everything. This is the beautiful garden for week 11.